phones, we ask that you would turn them off or mute them. At this time, we're going to ask that Chief Reese would come and give us the invitation. We're going to ask that Councilwoman Taylor would give us the pledge.
Bow your heads, please. Father God, we come to you as humble as we know how. Father God, asking for your blessings on today's council meeting. Father God, we ask blessings upon the city, upon the council, upon the mayor and his administration. Father God, we ask that the decisions that will be made here today are in line with your will. Father God, we pray for peace in the city of Shreveport. We pray for all of the divisions within the city of Shreveport. In your mighty Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Taylor.
Present.
Councilman Brooks.
Here.
Councilman Calabaro.
Here, ma'am.
Councilman Butcher.
Here.
Councilman Jackson. Councilman Green.
I'm here.
Councilwoman Bowman.
Present.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson called and said that he will be just a little late. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference Monday, January 23rd, 2023, City Council meeting Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, and the special meeting Monday, January 23rd, and Thursday, February 2nd, 2023?
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor.
Second.
Second by Councilman Brooks. Are there any questions or comments? If not, let's push the button.
I'm a yay. I just couldn't get signed in.
It has both me moved and second. So I think it's
I need Councilman Brooks to get second.
Can't.
Mine say wait.
Yeah, click on it.
And Councilman Butcher.
Yay.
And that's asking for the 6 over.
Thank you. Does any council member have any awards, recognition of distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Taylor.
In honor of Black History Month, I think that it is very important that we always remember our past and how our past brings us forth to our present. As African Americans, we understand the richness of our culture through music, through dance, through hair, and today, and through food. We always sit at the table, and that is our gathering place where we talk about everything up under the sun. But for us, when we commemorate and celebrate standing on the shoulders of giants, I think that we always have to remember the progress that has been done right here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Today, there are 3 recipients that I will honor in my district, along with other council members who have other recipients, to make sure that we don't forget our past. So oftentimes people want us to forget. But I'm here to tell you today that we cannot forget. Because as we sit here on this council, there was one point that we were not able to sit here. And so on today, if Ms. Tiffany Epps is present, I'm going to ask her to please come forward. Ms. Phelps, in African American culture, our hair was always symbolic of who we were and said so much about our character. And that still holds true on this day. So today, it gives me great honor and pleasure to make sure that we pay tribute to these two ladies who actually made this beautiful trend that we know and that we mark as our hair, celebrating our glory and dedicating the 1200 block of Milam Street. So I'm going to ask the clerk to please read the resolution.
Yes. A resolution dedicating the 1200 block of Milam Street in honor of Elgin Hill and Roberta Minor. Whereas Roberta Ford Minor and Elgin Hill, graduates of Central Colored High School, study cosmetology at the Milam Street Trade School. Roberta and Elgin received their cosmetology and instructor licenses shortly after graduation and worked as beauticians at Henrietta's Beauty School as well as taught at Henrietta's Beauty School. Whereas Henrietta Sarter, the owner of Henrietta's Beauty Salon and Beauty School, moved her beauty school to 1233 Milam Street, and in 1949, Roberta and Elgin became business partners and opened their own business by renting an adjacent room from Henrietta. Whereas after a few years under Henrietta's wings, Roberta and Elgin branched out and opened a shop across the street at 1232 Milam Street. Whereas in 1956, Henrietta decided to close her beauty salon and school. She sold the businesses to Roberta and Elgin. They renovated and updated the property and moved to the 1233 Milam Street building. Whereas during the 1950s and 60s, the beauty shop provided numerous services and offered various educational opportunities to customers, their children, and any member of the community interested in taking advantage of the services. In addition to operating R&E House of Beauty, Roberta and Elgin operated Magnetic Beauty School, which was in operation from 1958 until February of 2014. Magnetic Beauty School provided thousands of students with the opportunity to learn a profitable trade. Additionally, over the years, they operated Magnetic Beauty School No. 2 in Mansfield, Louisiana, and a beauty salon in Grambling, Louisiana. Whereas during their lifetime, both ladies received numerous awards for their contributions to the field of cosmetology and their community service. Elgin, along with Henrietta Carroll of Monroe, were the first two black women appointed by Governor Edwards to serve as supervisors on the Louisiana State Board of Cosmetology. Elgin served as an instructor at Booker T. Washington and was an active member of numerous professional and service organizations such as the National Hair Culture Association, the Louisiana Hair Fair Committee, the Louisiana Beauty Culture League, the American Business Women's Association, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, City of Shreveport Planning Board, Friends of Barnwell Commission for Shreveport's Barnwell Art Center, and many other civic organizations. She was a very active member of Baptist Temple Church. Whereas Roberta received numerous awards, including a Woman of the Year Achievement Award presented by the Alpha Sigma chapter of Theta Nu Sigma Sorority, Phenomenal Woman Award presented for outstanding service to her family, church, organizations, community, and city. 1,000 Women Incorporated, she received a Lifetime Achievement Award presented by the Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated Beta Psi chapter. In addition to being an industrial business leader, Roberta devoted much of her time, talent, and money to St. James United Methodist Church. She served on numerous committees and served on the trustee board for many years. She served as president of the trustee board for over 25 years prior to resigning from that position at the age of 96. Whereas in February of 1994, in recognition of Black History Month, the Shreveport Minority Business Council presented an award to Elgin and Roberta of R&E House of Beauty and Magnetic Beauty School for their economic contributions to their business over the years. In July of 2003, they received an award for loyal and dedicated service from the Captain Shreve chapter of the American Business Women's Association, presented on the occasion of their 20th anniversary celebration. In April of 2005, they received a Distinguished Service Award presented by the Louisiana State Beauticians and Barbers Association. In June of 2014, they received an award from the Louisiana Association of Cosmetology Schools for over 50 years of dedicated service in cosmetology education, and in February of 2020, Ms. Minor accepted the Business Legacy Award presented to R&E House of Beauty at the State of Black Shreveport Symposium and Economic Summit. Whereas the contributions made by Roberta, Elgin, and the R&E House of Beauty Salon have been duly noted in two books authored by the late eminent historian, Professor Willie Burton, On the Black Side of Shreveport, A History, and The Blacker the Berry, A Black History of Shreveport. Additionally, the Greater Shreveport Chamber of Commerce recognized the accomplishments of Roberta Minor and Elgin Hill by including their names on bricks in its Women of the Century Inspirational Garden, honoring 100 women who had contributed to the betterment of the Shreveport-Bossier communities from 1900 to 2000. Whereas the two friends and partners worked together up until the summer of 1999 when Ms. Hill became ill and unable to work. At that time, Ms. Minor assumed the responsibility of continuing to operate the beauty salon and the beauty school. With invaluable assistance from Ms. Isabella Sanders and dedicated and gifted instructors, Magnetic Beauty School continued to operate until 2014. With the help of the operators, numerous friends and relatives, Ms. Minor continued to operate R&E House of Beauty until March of 2020 when the business closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas after being closed for some 7 months and due to the unrelenting persistence and generosity of some very loving and loyal customers, repairs needed to reopen the shop were completed, and the beauty shop reopened in November of 2020 when Roberta continued to operate until she died in March of 2021 at the age of 100. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due regular and legal session convened that the mayor on behalf of the city is authorized to dedicate the 1200 block of Milam in honor of Elgin Hill and Roberta Minor.
Mayor Arsenault of the council, Councilwoman Taylor, thank you so much. May I please recognize Ms. Minor's daughters that are here?
Please
Y'all
ask her to
stand.
come up.
Ms. Henrietta and Ms. Lois, thank you so much.
Please come up. Please come up. I think that there are probably some women in this room that probably sat in their chair for both of these ladies.
Yes.
And felt quite glamorized. Please come up as we present the proclamation to you.
Thank you.
You are more than welcome, Mr. Chief. Are there any representatives from Orlando's here? Craig Lee. I'm gonna need you to stand in. Where would we be without our food? And where would we be without Pete Harris, Freeman and Harris, and the legacy of this 100-year-old restaurant? So you're gonna have to stand in the gap, sir, for Mr. Chapman.
My little nephew.
So, Madam Clerk.
A resolution honoring the legacy of Orlando's Cafe. Whereas founded circa 1921, Orlando's Cafe is the continued legacy of the oldest continuously operating African-American family-owned restaurant in the United States. Whereas for over 100 years, the historic Orlando's Cafe has been and still is a North Louisiana culinary staple known around the world for its traditional and modern Creole, soul food, Southern cuisines, hometown hospitality, and family-oriented atmosphere. Whereas with the family tradition of naming the establishment after proprietors past, some familiar iterations being Freeman and Harris Cafe, Pete Harris Cafe, Brothers Seafood, and presently Orlando's Cafe. Whereas its soul food entrees like smothered chicken, liver and gizzards, beef tips, dishes like gumbo, red beans, etouffee, fried trout, catfish, and homemade tartar sauce is a gem of the indigenous Creole culture with recipes passed down from 5 generations. Whereas the item that is most infamous to this family's culinary creations is the stuffed shrimp that was created right between those walls. Whereas influenced by other renditions but now coined as the Shreveport-style stuffed shrimp, it is like no other stuffed shrimp in the world. Many have attempted to replicate and claim fame for themselves, but none have been successful. Often imitated but never ever duplicated, the proof is in the stuffing. Whereas this family legacy has always been an oasis and noteworthy for more than its delicious food, the very essence of the African American community, providing jobs and business traffic to whichever part of the city it has operated, in particular the Allendale neighborhood. Whereas during the civil rights era and other days of racial strife, when people of different race, class, or ethnic group didn't work together, worship together, or go to school together, was a rare place where whites and blacks would dine together comfortably over the soulful meals in the bottoms. Whereas recreating a glimpse of memories gone by for some and introducing a whole new world to plenty, Orlando's Cafe, now located at 5301 South Lakeshore Drive on the beautiful Cross Lake, in a historic property that once served white-only patrons, breaking yet another barrier in the once prominent aspect of the Deep South. Whereas this family of restaurateurs have always stood on Christian values and morals, and it shows in their business. They believe that you can take what you have, build something good, work hard at it, and make it the best that it could possibly be. You do not do it for the money or the social perks, but you do it to provide a service to people. If you are blessed with some success, then you give back to the people who have helped you along the way. Whereas through the change of hands, ownership, and names, if there were any doubt that this 5th generation of torch carriers could successfully follow in the footsteps of their ancestors, especially after surviving the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, much like the Great Depression of the 20s, their accomplishments and perseverance should have erased all of them. Whereas Freeman, Harris, Wallet, and Chapman, different surnames, one bloodline, vowed to dedicate their lives to continuing a legacy that not just belongs to them, but to us as a community, us as a city, and us as a people. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council for the City of Shreveport, in due legal and regular session convened, that the Shreveport City Council joins in celebrating the 100th anniversary of Orlando's Cafe and honor them for continuing the family legacy.
Of course, you all know Damien is working.
Of course, Ms. Brittany Dunn, would you please come forward as well? And those from the African American Chamber, if you're here. We're waiting to hear from you. Yes.
Hello, my name is Brittany Dunn, and I am the chairwoman of the Shreveport-Bossier African American Chamber of Commerce. And I was speaking to a gentleman at the YMCA probably about 2 months ago, and I was talking about how we don't have enough black businesses that have a legacy, that has generational businesses that has been passed down. And I received some information from Damien probably like a month after that, just asking the bio for him personally. And then when I received that information, then I realized that his business was a 5th generation business. And so I was really shocked because we do not have black businesses that have legacies for 3 generations, 4 generations. And that's some of the struggles that we have as black business owners by not having experience, because we do not have that generational wealth and knowledge that has been passed down. So I did get with Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor, Craig Lee, and our board, and I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge that this month, because we need to make sure that we are creating those legacies inside of our community on a day-to-day basis. As we find businesses that we are ready to grow and expand, that's the reason we're here as African American Chamber, to make sure they're sustainable and be passed along. So we want to recognize Damien. Thank you, Craig, for being here today for over 100 years. And he also said it is the oldest black restaurant in the United States. So we definitely want to applaud him and his family for carrying that on.
Thank you. Stay right there. Yeah. Craig?
So next week, we will have our Black Empowerment Week, Tuesday morning breakfast. All of you guys are invited. That's the only time they do breakfast, at Tuesday morning breakfast. And this year marks 27 years that we started Tuesday morning breakfast at Pete Harris right down the street. And Damien asked us a few years back to come home, and Orlando is smiling. And I got to tell you, from the patriarchs who started this at the Calanthian Temple in the early 1920s, to Freeman and Harris, to Pete Harris, to Brothers, and now to the lake. It is an amazing thing, and it is a true example of black excellence, and it marketed Shreveport on such a phenomenal scale. Damien was not a chef like his dad. He was a science guy. He was an engineering guy. But because of the legacy of his family, he left that industry and came and took on the legacy of his father. So I can speak for him definitely and the family and say thank you for this award.
So we celebrate the richness of our hair. Of course, our food is always just listening to the list. You're ready to go eat right now. And what would we be without music? The richness of our music, the culture, the message that it sends. And I am just overwhelmingly grateful to say that we have a Grammy-nominated artist right here from the Cooper Road in our midst. Madam Clerk, please read.
A resolution honoring Grammy Award nominee Kendria Child Browder. Whereas a Shreveport native and 2023 Grammy Award nominee, Kendria Browder, known professionally as Child, grew up in the heart of the Cooper Road community. Whereas raised in a church-going family, nurtured by parents Sue Wilborn Browder and Kenneth Browder, Child's life has always been surrounded by music, art, and spiritual nourishment. Whereas Child graduated with honors from the C.E. Bird Magnet Program, determined to become a doctor, they continued their education at Clark University in Atlanta, Georgia. Whereas in 2012, Child dropped out of college and began photographing artists while on tour. Whereas behind-the-scenes shoots with various artists continued into 2018 when Child's career exploded as a director, building a bold, stylized aesthetics brand storytelling feeling steeped with a dreamy, gothic lyricism of the African-American South. Whereas honoring their roots while continuing to grow wildly beyond them, Child draws inspiration from sources as varied as Jean-Michel Basquiat and Malcolm X. Whereas Child uses a dreamlike visual vernacular to uncover the depths of the Black experience, weaving surreal symbolism, richly textured art direction, and surprising narrative flourishes into something that feels both otherworldly and searingly truthful. Whereas in 2021, Child directed a well-crafted masterpiece commercial for Super Bowl 55. Whereas today, the artist's repertoire includes a quite notable portfolio including her, Future, Post Malone, Chris Brown, Nas, Willow Smith, Jennifer Hudson, Brittany Howard, Big Sean, Janelle Monáe's Turntables, and Doja Cat's Woman that scored their first Grammy nomination in the Best Music Video category. Whereas despite bouts of imposter syndrome, Child opted for minimal anonymity because they wanted their work to speak for themselves. Although Child is a rising star in the music video world, Child sees things differently. Child believes their art will never be put in a box because God gave this gift for a reason. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council for the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the Shreveport City Council honors Grammy Award nominee Kendria Child Browder.
Come on, mama.
I am a proud mother. I'm going to accept this on behalf of my daughter and her father. I'm so proud of Kendria. At one point in her life, we didn't know what she was going to end up doing, but God already had the path before her, and she walked into it. And she always says, she said, Mama, Jesus is my booking agent. I said, keep him first, and you will do well. So I thank you. My family. You want my family to come? Y'all come. My family? Okay. Family.
Y'all can balance us out, friend.
Yes.
Unsung heroes are people that are extraordinary, who never get recognized, who never wants to get recognized. But they do so much in the community behind the scenes. I'm recognizing Farrell Williams, and I'm gonna ask Ms. Kendra to read the proclamation, please.
A resolution to recognize Farrell Williams for his contributions to the Queensboro community. Whereas Farrell Williams, a 1986 graduate of Fair Park High School, grew up in the Queensboro neighborhood. Whereas growing up in Queensboro from his youth to his later years, Farrell became known as the neighborhood barber. Whereas Farrell is known by many as a jovial guy who never met a stranger he did not try and help. Whereas Farrell has been a pillar of the community for many years. Whereas Farrell has tried to keep the neighborhood clean and young men out of trouble and on the right track. Whereas Farrell has been operating for 29 years in the Queensboro neighborhood. Whereas known as a place you can go for conversation, counseling, and therapy, many have grown from boys to men at Farrell's Barber Zone, located at 2905 Jewella Avenue. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the City Council would like to recognize Farrell Williams for his contributions to the Shreveport community.
Ms. Jackson, you can come up to the podium. Here, read it.
A resolution to recognize Lester Marie Jackson for her contributions to the Cedar Grove community. Whereas Lester Marie Jackson, a lifelong resident of Cedar Grove, is the oldest child of the late Lester B. Jackson and Katie Catherine Bell Jackson. Whereas Lester has been a faithful member of the Greater Zion Mission Baptist Church since 1996, where she served as youth director and secretary of Pastor's Aid. Whereas after 34 years of service, Lester retired from the Caddo Parish Tax Assessor's Office and later that year returned to work part-time. Whereas as Haven's house leader, Lester checks in on seniors every other day to make sure they are in good health, eating properly, as well as making sure their taxes are paid. Whereas for 3 months after COVID, Lester ran the Miss Margaret Miles Community Breakfast every third Thursday from her house by providing biscuits and water to the community until the Friendship House in Cedar Grove reopened. Whereas Lester has worked tirelessly for over 10 years at the Cedar Grove Friendship House by helping provide an improved quality of life for the citizens of the Cedar Grove community. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the City Council would like to recognize Lester Marie Jackson for her contributions to the Cedar Grove community.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Jackson, even though we're not related, it would be an honor to be a part of your family for the work that you're doing in the community. I can't speak enough about it. Many people think that you can eventually be a homeowner. We always use the term homeowner loosely, but you and I both know that you never truly own your home. If you don't pay those taxes, they will come and get it. And we see the horror stories of that in our communities where somebody has worked their entire life to pay for something, and something as simple as not paying any taxes, passing away, family members don't realize that's something that has to be done, and they lose that legacy. And I believe homeownership is the fastest way we can create generational wealth. So that work speaks extremely volumes to me. Taking care of our most vulnerable population, our seniors. I can't speak enough about it, so I appreciate your work. I wanted to celebrate you today, especially during African American History Month. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair? Yes. Anyone else? Thank you. My guess is Attorney William Bradford is here, and he's going to give us an overview about the toll road. And Attorney, we're not going to take a picture. I'm tired.
It's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Vice Chairman, members of the council, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. As the Chairman indicated, I represent Tim James Incorporated, which is a Alabama-based infrastructure development company. We have been over the last, 3 years now, planning to develop and construct a toll road, really a toll bridge across the Red River. It will be located just south of 3132, headed towards Bossier and crossing into Bossier Parish and landing in Bossier Parish and taking all the way out to Highway 271. We anticipate there will be some other feeder roads connected to this, and this project is completely privately funded. We will be working closely with the port as an agent through this process. It has a direct impact to the success of the port as well. But this project is, again, privately funded. We've engaged Raymond James as underwriters, and we have KSA, which is a Texas-based engineering firm but operates a large office here in the city of Shreveport. and Evans Graves for the design and engineering portion of this process, as well as the environmental process. Where we are today is we have secured the required cooperative endeavor agreements between Tim James Incorporated and the Parish of Caddo, as well as the Parish of Bossier. Those are statutorily required cooperative endeavor agreements. Those allow us to construct and fund the road. The next step for us and what we're doing currently is we're working with the United States Army Corps of Engineers to do what's called a 404, which is an environmental assessment and route study, as well as a 408 permission. And so the engineers take over at this point, and they do their magic, and we work through that process. We anticipate being under construction in 2024. This roadway will be about 8 miles of new road. And the only time that a citizen or individual pays a toll is when they cross the bridge into Bossier or cross the bridge back into Shreveport. And so those areas will see an influx of development. We anticipate both because you're connecting two of the fastest growing economic corridors in our region, as well as you're shortening headways approximately by 25 minutes to get from that side of that entryway to across the toll road. So we're looking at about a 10-minute drive time down from about 25 minutes. So we're very optimistic, we're very hopeful, and a lot of due diligence has gone into this process, and we're very grateful that the City of Shreveport has been engaged through this process, as well as the Parish of Caddo and the Parish of Bossier. So any questions you have, I'm here to answer. We did push a press release today on this as well, and we also have had an informational meeting at the port recently as last Wednesday.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for inviting all of us. I believe got the invite to come to the meeting last was it Wednesday? I believe?
It was the chairman,
And
your
myself.
district, and I believe the mayor's office as well. We were very conscientious of the open meetings law, didn't want to break the quorum rules, and so we invited those so that we can give the information to in a open forum, but not necessarily an open meeting.
Well, regardless, it was very informational. Mr. Dark was there as well, and I don't see any downside to this. It's exactly what we talk about all the time: a public and private cooperation into something. And I know it's all private dollars, but it will definitely help my district. One of the concerns that I had was 12 Oaks development, but it seems that the homeowners there, they were represented at this meeting. They are actually somewhat excited about it, or at least the majority are, because it's going to give them another exit to their neighborhood right now, which we fight all the time, that Flournoy Lucas Road, trying to get out of there. This will give them an extra exit, and Mr. James is going to do that at his expense to add an extra exit to 12 Oaks. So I'm excited about the potential. I think it's a lot better than us trying to do it with the state money that has always been talked about.
Right.
I think that this is a quicker way for us to do it, and I'm excited thus far by what I heard the other day.
And I do want to make note, this is going to be about an $80 to $100 million project, and we anticipate up to 80% of our general contractors, our subs and contractors to come from this community. So he's very aware that that's an important point for both the council, the mayor's office, the parishes. So we anticipate using a significant amount of local contractors. And again, we've been engaged with the neighborhoods that are impacted by this, as is required by these 408 permissions. We provided alternatives to the federal government related to the route, but in either scenario, we have engaged with 12 Oaks, Esplanade, and making sure that we have a benefit to their neighborhoods and communities.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Did you speak on toll fees, amounts, who's going to regulate those fees, and how long is the expiration date on how long they were going to be charging tolls?
Sure. So this is a for-profit business. We would have the toll, the life of the project, the life of the roadway. Under the cooperative endeavor agreements, it's regulated and set by the developer. We anticipate about $2 per four-wheel regular automobile, and a higher fee for those individuals that are using heavy truck traffic. This is not like the Mississippi River Bridge toll that was funded by a tax. Instead, this is a private dollar investment. So Mr. James and his company are making the investment up front, and they're going to recoup that investment and anticipate recouping a profit based on the use of this roadway.
Are there any other questions?
Who maintains it?
So we have given the city and the parishes both 30-year maintenance agreements. So Tim James Incorporated will maintain the roadways at no expense to the city, at no expense to the parish, to either parish. And it's for a period, let me correct that, I believe it's 15 years.
After that time?
After that time, they're public roadways. Yes, ma'am. But, in speaking to your concern, our bridge, the toll bridge remains in the ownership of the Tim James Incorporated Company. If we can't get to our bridge, we can't make money. So it's in our benefit to continue to maintain and continue to upkeep and make sure that roadway is continually overlaid. And I want to do you bring up a good point, Council Lady Taylor. In year 15, I believe it is, in the Cooperative Endeavor Agreement, we're required to do an overlay of that roadway. So you're going to get a 50-year bridge, a 50-year roadway from this project.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you so much.
All right. Mr. Mayor, do you have any awards, recognition of distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes?
No, I don't.
All right. Do you have any other business, Mr. Mayor, relative
I
to-
do have a couple of comments, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
First
Go
of
ahead,
all,
Mr. Mayor.
I very much appreciate the attention that the chair gave to me when I had my nosebleed yesterday. I'm perfectly healthy and I'm fine.
Yes,
But it was a little bit unnerving, and I appreciate the care, particularly the care and concern that you showed. And also, it was good to be attended by the fire chief and the assistant fire chief. I got very good care solving my nosebleed, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
I am requesting that the council postpone ordinance number 4, which is the budget amendment relating to Oak Lawn Cemetery and NLEP and the Economic Development Director. I am working on a job description for the Economic Development Director, which is affected by the amendment that is before you, but I want to have a chance to discuss that with the council a little further, and so I've requested that that ordinance be postponed today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there any legislation to be added today?
There is none.
Thank you. Today, we will hear public comments on agenda items only, and the Vice Chair will control the time.
Sammy Mears.
New rings. Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, apartment M110, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. I'm speaking on both 9A19 and 9A20 as probably a coincidence. But I think it is really a great and wonderful idea to dedicate and to honor Milam Street for Elgin Hill and Robert Minor. I ask that you vote yes on this 9A19 today resolution, and it will really be appreciated for those in the district. I also would like to really say and truly believe that 9A20 is also a great and wonderful idea too, just as well. Please vote yes to honor Orlando's Cafe and a number of people, and a lot of people as well, who will thank you very much, and they'll be so pleased to hear the vote yes for A19. So 9A19 and 9A20 should be voted yes today, and it will be very much appreciated. And for Tom Arsenault, Don Hanley said to recognize you and say hello from Olive Garden.
I'm perfectly well. I'm just going out.
I just made sure you were not going to miss that.
Thank you, Sammy. John Settle.
Trying to look for the clock. I didn't see it yesterday, and my apology. John Settle, 4 Tealwood. I was glad to hear Will Bradford explain the tollway. He helped me get an exclusive interview with Tim James. It's in this week's paper. It's a very exciting project. I was also glad to see all the people recognized today. We had Damian Chapman on the cover of Focus SB a while back, and now I've got some other people that need to be here. I think most of you probably know some of these organizations or the people in these organizations. Row Omega and Friends, Good Time Rolls Festival, Good Time to Roll at Festival Plaza. Robinson Rescue, they have Best in Show at Riverview. Crew of Sobek, Mardi Gras Ball at Convention Center. Downtown Shreveport Unlimited, Mudbud Magnus at Festival Plaza. Crew of Harambe, Mardi Gras Ball, Convention Center. Volunteers for Youth Justice, Battle of Gumbo Gladiators fundraiser. Crew of Oceanus, they said they have not signed an agreement yet for next year. The Rebel, which is at Festival Plaza, DSU, St. Patty's Day, Patty in the Plaza. These are nonprofit organizations that use Festival Plaza, Riverview Hall, and Convention Center, which are public facilities, for their functions. They have to pay rent, and it's on a scale that's much lower for than a for-profit nonprofit. There is a schedule that SPAR has for nonprofits to pay rent and also for, quote, for-profit ventures. I consider a public park to be a municipal facility. All of you have some great parks in your district except for Councilman Butcher, but I'll give you A.B. Palmer, if that's okay, sir. And they have festivals. But I think that if we're going to allow a for-profit entity to tie up a major park for 3 days to make money, that they should pay rent. Our taxes pay for these parks, they pay for the maintenance. I think it's discriminatory to let a for-profit venture have a park for 3 days, a public facility, when you're going to charge these nonprofits to have their events in public facilities. Thank you.
Marvin Muhammad.
Marvin Muhammad. I want to rise today in support of the ordinance or resolution that is to develop a TIFs district in District F. These are the type of innovative policy that we need to help move the city forward. Mind you, that TIF district will be dealing with areas in District F. Those dollars would be spent in District F. And at a time now where the city is saying that dollars are tight, that type of brilliance and genius, ingenuity to help move the city forward is something that I will hope and pray that the city council will support across the board. I also want to speak very briefly, as I look for the clock, against the elimination of the Department of Economic Development. I spoke briefly about that. That is just something that cannot happen. Again, and I heard the mayor say that he wants to postpone that, and I hope and pray that was because of our words on yesterday. But this is just another inept example of why we need to move forward in another direction. With that being said, he said, and I quote, that economic development will be dealt with through the private sector. How does that work? How does that work? We need to move this city forward. We need someone in that position so we can move the city forward. I thank you for your time.
John Glover.
Good evening. John Glover, 9100 Walker Road, apartment 217. When the agenda item 9 ordinance number 3 was brought forth, I was in opposition of that item. I'm still in opposition. Number one, when you read the fact sheet, it says a base pay of $81,000, but then there's a transferring of $115,000 that is being asked to address that position. Why the discrepancy in those dollars, one would have to ask. I have never appreciated creating positions just to be doing it, and especially when we keep crying about we don't have the finances to address the needs of the city. Now, this need is supposed to be instrumental in helping me, a constituent, communicate with my councilperson as any constituent in these 7 districts. I just find that disconcerting because When it was that each and every one of you stood forth and said, choose me, I will represent you, but I can also come to you directly and not have to go through anyone other than you, though now the conversation says you'll still talk with me, but you still have a go-between at some point. This is not acceptable for me as a constituent. It will not change because, again, didn't vote for a liaison, didn't vote to give away any dollars unnecessarily, and we do enough of that already. So I'm asking that you don't support ordinance number 3, and that maybe you can go back to the drawing board and figure out something else that can be more effective for you all to do the job that you said you would do. Thank you.
Valerie Jones.
Good afternoon. I'm Valerie Jones, 1152 McDaniel Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. I'm representing case number 22-244-C, going from a I-2 zone to a C3 zone for an outdoor event center. I'm just here representing.
Is this the development on North Market?
Yes.
The North Market area? When we get to that one?
Ma'am.
I say when we get to that part, we'll call you up.
Thank you.
Okay. That concludes public comments.
Thank you. We have the executive appointment of April Jordan as city controller to be considered today.
So moved on the appointment.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Teleferro. Are there any questions or comments? She was with us on yesterday. Anyone have any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
It's not coming up.
I don't have a screen.
It didn't come up. It didn't come up.
Councilman Green, can I get a verbal vote?
Ma'am?
A verbal vote? Verbally?
Verbally.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilman Brooks?
Aye.
Councilman Talaferro?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Bowman?
Yes.
I have Councilwoman Taylor Butcher and Jackson voted yes.
All right.
And
Motion
that was
passes.
7-0 vote.
Thank you. There are no items on the consent agenda today for introduction or adopted. Madam Clerk, will you proceed with regular agenda legislation?
Yes. Resolution 166 of 2021, a resolution in support of and establishing a tax increment financing district, a proposed public improvement district wholly within the city limits of the city of Shreveport, and this has previously been postponed until March 28 of 2023. Resolution 8, authorizing the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement with Cooper Road USA, and there is one amendment that corrected the mayor's name. It said Adrian Perkins, it now says Mayor Tom Arsenault.
So moved on the amendment.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor on the amendment.
Second.
Second by Councilman Teleferro. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button. Mine is not coming up. Mine is not up.
Great, okay, great.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Councilman Brooks,
Yes.
Councilman Talaferro,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Bowles.
Yes.
Motion passes with 7.
And that places with 7 of them.
Yeah, check it out.
Okay.
You can give me verbal, be all right. I'm not gonna hold everybody else up with mine, don't sign it. I don't know why it's not signing in.
You can just give me a verbal.
And now we need a motion on Resolution 8 as amended.
So move on Resolution 8 as amended.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Motion on the ordinance as amended. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun.
Yes.
Councilman Blunt.
Yes.
And that passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 9, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Shreveport and Downtown Shreveport Unlimited Incorporated.
So move.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor. Second by Councilman Jackson. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Taylor Farrell.
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 10, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Shreveport and KOKA Alpha Media.
Moved by Councilman Jackson.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Taylor. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Taylor Farrell.
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 11, authorizing the use of certain equipment by the Mount Olive Baptist Church.
So move.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor. Second by Councilman Jackson. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Taylor Farrell.
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 12, authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Theater of the Performing Arts.
So move.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor. Second by Councilman Jackson. Are there any questions? If not, push the button.
Ms. Stokes. Yes.
Councilwoman Taylor.
Yes.
Councilman Taylor Farrell.
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 13, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Shreveport and Pinpoint Events LLC.
Moved by Councilman Jackson.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I do have a question on this one.
Let me get it to the motion. Councilman Jackson's motion, who's second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Taylor. Questions, Councilman Brooks?
I have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask Shelley Ragel. Is this is the one concerning Crawfest? There's some confusion. I'm not sure exactly what we're voting on.
She coming on up.
Good afternoon. Happy Valentine's Day.
And to you.
What's before you is a resolution authorizing the use of city equipment. So what you're voting on is actually just whether or not you're allowing them to use tables, chairs, barricades, things like that, city resources, not anything else.
So this is, if I may, this is no way of us, the giving of permission and all the things that go on to have this festival has already been done. It's already been approved. We're just approving the use of the resources that we have, the tables and chairs and so
Yes.
forth, to support this event. Is that correct?
Which becomes the city's sponsorship of the event. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, their event goes through what we call Event Task Force, where they have to go through the permitting policy. And his permit is conditionally issued pending his insurance, and he should have that in. They usually issue that certificate within 30 days of an event, and he's not quite there yet, but almost.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So this, just one more time, because I've gotten mixed comments on this today. This is only for chairs and tables, not the use of the park.
No, sir.
The use of the park was done,
It's part of his permit. When he requested where he'd have his event, it goes through that committee which is made up of about 8 or 10 city departments, and making sure he's meeting all the qualifications to use a city venue.
Okay, so we're not voting on giving him the part, that decision's already been made.
Yes.
Okay.
And one final question for us, just for clarity, Ms. Regal. So the decision or the stipulations of a 3-year commitment, that's already been addressed? No. That has not
What
been-
happens is at the conclusion of his event, we'll discuss it.
Okay.
And then we can look at where we go forward from here.
Very good.
He has good things and bad things going on. He's growing quickly in 8 years. And he's even, I would think, begin to realize it may be too big there, but where does he go? And so I think there's a question of where does he go? Because he doesn't necessarily want to go to Festival Plaza because he wants it to be a different feeling type of an event. So we'll work with him to see what we can come up with. Okay.
Let's
Mr. Chair.
reiterate to that all of them know that they have to accept cash at these events.
Yes, ma'am. They do things like the Revel, some of those places, you take your cash and exchange it, but they do take cash to exchange it to your kind of coupons or things like that. Some festivals do. So they all know they have to take cash at some point, but it can be exchanged for things like coupons.
I think that the thing that I've heard most about this is the impact on the neighborhood and that it is growing tremendously. So I hope that the administration will work with Mr. Snyder and his company, because look, it is a definite quality of life for people my age and younger, definitely, to be able to go to something like that. And they love, no offense, Mr. Mayor, but this is a big deal for it's a good place to take your family and not to compete with any other thing like the Revel or any other festivals, but it's just a different type deal. So I want us to be able to continue that relationship, but I do think it's probably time we look at the, at the impact on the neighborhoods. So.
You use the word sponsorship, and I do like that word. Is the business going to recognize the city as a sponsor for donating the table, and is there a monetary cost for any tax incentive for donating the tables and chairs?
We don't get one because the way our tax structure works, but he does recognize us and is advertising. Any of those, if you look at all those cooperative endeavor agreements that you're approving today, we ask for that. We tell the symphony, if a sponsor at this level, and on your fact sheet it'll tell you the amount, whatever your sponsorship level we fall in, we expect to receive the same recognition you would for any sponsor. So when you go to the symphony, you better see our name in the program. When you go to the opera, any of those, the same way with him, it needs to be listed on there. And I think I was talking to Councilman Talaferro when he called to ask a question. This is the way the city helps support these kind of events. We used to do a lot of it ourselves. We hire bands and we take them but we just got to where that was not affordable for the city, and we also were taking the risk. Now we transfer that risk for weather and all those things onto someone else, but yet we get these quality of life events in our community by doing that.
I agree. Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure that when they have these events, that they understand that, no, they're not coming in and they have to go buy a card for that they can bring their cash and utilize that, and cash be taken at those booths when they get ready to do that. Because the problem that you run into is that if there's not enough money on those, what's ever left over on whatever card or even coupon that they give, are they gonna get their remaining cash left back over?
What everybody has gone to is something where you can get your cash back.
Okay.
Okay, but they are, because
Immediately?
Huh?
Not days, not that, because I know it was the reason that we passed that ordinance, because I don't wanna isolate a certain group, so I want them to understand that when they start these events as city properties, that they have to accept cash as a form of payment.
Okay. I will check with the Revel about how their new system works, because for years and years, you went and bought coupons, and I don't know how many times you go home and you find them in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
They have moved to a different system now that I know you can retrieve your money. I will have to ask them how long that takes. Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 14, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Shreveport and the Red River Rebel.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Butcher,
Second.
second by Councilman Brooks. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 15, authorizing the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement with Red River Road Runners Incorporated.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Butcher,
Second.
second by Councilman Brooks. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 16, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Shreveport and Rho Omega and Friends Incorporated.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 17, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Shreveport and Volunteers for Youth Justice.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 19, dedicating the 1200 block of Milam Street in honor of Elgin Hill and Roberta Minor.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilman Brooks. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 20, honoring the legacy of Orlando's Cafe.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilman Talaferro. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 21, honoring Grammy Award nominee Kendria Child Browder.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilman Butcher. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 22, to recognize Farrell Williams for his contributions to the Queensboro community.
Move.
Moved by Councilwoman Bowman,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Taylor. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Jackson? Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Resolution 23, to recognize Lester Marie Jackson for her contributions to the Cedar Grove community.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman Jackson, second by Councilman Butcher. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you proceed with the introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to February 28, 2023?
Yes. Resolution 24, authorizing the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the city of Shreveport and Esplanade Properties LLC, hereinafter called owner and acting herein, through Michael Salter, president for the water and sewer main extensions and related facilities to serve Esplanade Phase 6, Stage 1. And Resolution 25, authorizing the mayor to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement with the cities of Monroe and Ruston, Louisiana, and Vicksburg, Mississippi, to seek grant funding under the Federal-State Partnership for Intercity Passenger Rail Program.
So moved on introduction.
Moved by Councilman Butcher.
Second.
Second by Councilman Brooks on introduction. Are there any questions on either of these items? If not, Madam Clerk, would you proceed with the introduction of ordinance not to be adopted prior to February 28, 2023?
Ordinance 9, amending the 2023 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 10, amending the 2023 general fund budget. Ordinance 11, amending the 2023 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 12, amending the 2023 budget funding contractual services provided to Sportran by Metro Management Associates Incorporated. Ordinance 13, declaring the city's intention to seize 2 parcels of adjudicated property in the North Cedar Grove addition in Section 24. Ordinance 14, zoning case number 22-215C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located north side of Murphy Street, contained by Arkansas Avenue, Ashton Street, and Alabama Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, R15 Single Family Residential Zoning District to R3 Multifamily Residential Zoning District. Ordinance 15, zoning case number 22-236-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located north side of Merrick Street, approximately 130 feet west of Roosevelt Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from R15 Single Family Residential Zoning District to C2 Corridor Commercial Zoning District. Ordinance 16, zoning case number 22-244C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located north side of North Market Street, approximately 360 feet north of Arrow Drive, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District to C3 General Commercial Zoning District. And ordinance 17, zoning case number 22-269-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located south side of East Stoner Avenue, approximately 870 feet west of Erie Drive, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, R3 Multifamily Residential Zoning District to C2 Corridor Commercial Zoning District.
Do you have a motion and a second to introduce these items?
So moved for introduction.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson. Discussion, Councilwoman Taylor.
Mr. Clark. Madam Clerk, on ordinance 14, that needs to be updated. That's Council District 8 for the north of, for the Notre Dame, on ordinance 14. On ordinance 16, was there any type of opposition against this?
I think that there was one letter of opposition from a property owner in the area, but it's my remembrance that the board found that this was a good use for the area. The staff's recommendation was based on the fact that all of the property in the immediate vicinity is zoned industrial, either I-1 or I-2, and this is down zoning some property for a commercial zoning designation, but we feel that possibly it would be more of a detriment to the property owners than by locating in this industrial area, but if that's what they're desiring to do, the board felt that that was a acceptable location for this particular use.
Any site plan improvements?
There will be site plan approved, and we will. The thing about this, generally in site plan review and site plan approval, we try to mitigate the negative impacts that it will be placing on the lesser zoning districts, comparable zoning districts. In this case, it's a district below the industrial, so it won't be a whole lot of mitigation that will occur.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And I think we have, in all due respect to the new council people and reapportionment, I think we have adjusted those errors that were placed on the original applications. When they came in, they were before these things had happened.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with ordinance on second reading and final passage?
Ordinance 135A to repeal Ordinance 135 of 2022 and to readopt an ordinance changing the name of Red Fox Circle in the Moore Girls Circle subdivision in Section 25, Township 17 North, Range 15 West to God's Country.
Moved by Councilwoman Bowman, second by the chair. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Telephone?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Ordinance 3, amending the 2023 budget for the general fund.
Moved by Councilman Jackson, second by the chair. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Telephone?
Yes.
That passes with a 5-2 votes.
Ordinance 4, amending the 2023 Riverfront Development Fund budget. There is an amendment here. The amendment corrects the original submission, which reflects a decrease of $250,000 in receipts for personal services. Additionally, the amendment eliminates any reductions to personal service accounts, thus retaining funds for economic development person on the mayor's staff. It leaves in place the portion of the amendment that provides $100,000 to the Oakland Cemetery Project and $25,000 to the North Louisiana Economic Development Partnership. And this is the one the mayor requested postponement.
Moved by the chair, postponement.
Second.
Second by Councilman Butcher. Are there any questions or comment? If not, push the button.
Councilman Telephone?
Yes.
The motion to postpone passes with a 7-0 vote.
Ordinance 5, to create and establish the intersection of Candler Avenue and Bobbitt Place as a yield intersection.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Telephone?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Ordinance 6, to create and establish the intersection of Wesley Avenue and Bobbitt Place as a yield intersection.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Telephone?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Ordinance 7, to amend sections 18-201 and 18-202 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to airport zones and regulations for Shreveport Regional Airport.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Butcher, second by the chair. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Telephone?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Ordinance 8, to amend Chapter 26 of the Code of Ordinances relative to a chief financial officer.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Brooks. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Telephone?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Ordinance 2, zoning case number 22-219-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the north side of West 70th Street, approximately 2,850 feet west of Dinkins Drive, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, C4 Heavy Commercial Zoning District to I2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District.
Move, please.
Moved by Councilwoman Bowman, second by Councilwoman Taylor. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Telephone?
Yes.
That passes with a 7-0 vote.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there any table legislation to be removed from the table today?
There is none.
Thank you. We have no property standards or ABO appeals to consider today. We have no MPC or ZBA appeals to consider. Are there any other appeals, Madam Clerk?
There are no other appeals.
Are there any reports from officers, boards, and committees? Madam Clerk, is there a clerk's report?
There is no clerk's report.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any additional communications?
Mr. Dark will speak.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday we had some discussions about the personnel who formerly worked for economic development under the old administration. And I made a statement there that I regret, and I'm going to apologize for, that was a little harsher on some of the existing employees than I probably should have been. We are trying everything we can to find places within city government for those folks, and in fact, to have a meeting later this week with Bonnie Moore and with the HR folks, trying to find ways to do that. And I do want to apologize for the way I spoke about those folks yesterday. Thank you for letting me do that.
Yes, sir. Does any council member have any additional communication?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Happy anniversary to my wife.
Happy anniversary, Councilman Jackson.
Executive sessions, we have none. If there's nothing else to come before this body, we stand adjourned.
Thank you so much.
Push the button. I wish I could.